as you mentioned before, some of my paintings did have to do with Egyptian mythology, particularly stories of Isis, Osiris, and Horus. I was a little surprised when he added the name of Ta to my series. So I quickly went to internet and, I tried to find out as much as I could about Ta. And I did find out that indeed Ta was a god of architecture. And this made it possible for me to explain the geometric underpinning of my paintings in a much better way. Of course, Ptah is an archetype of a very old deity preceding the group that I mentioned. And perhaps I should just sum up what the archetypes are in the context of our lecture. And they are visual symbols of energetic imprints that exist in our souls as reflections of higher or prior forces and patterns. They also exist in energetic fields surrounding us, which some may call pleroma, or A fields, or Akashic fields, or mind of God. Archetypes can guide us in explaining the basic drives and inspirations for our art, and even point out the meaning of our lives. As it turned out, the inclusion of Ta into my talk has not been a good choice only because this archetype could help me to explain that underpinning I mentioned, but also to trace the common archetypal origins of many gods of light, transformation, and evolution of human spirit to the ancient Egypt. Okay, I should have some picture here.
Oh, you were working on it.
Okay.
You want to go full screen?
No, I should have tried. Okay, here.
Full screen, full screen.
Can you at least scroll it down something?
Just scroll through pages. That's page up there.
There's got to be
No, I need the whole picture.
There's got to be a command to do a shot.
Okay, I tell you what, maybe I can just go ahead with the lecture. Jonah can play with it, and at the end we are just going to draw the pictures. Okay? And you also have these two booklets which you can look at. Okay, so here we have Ta. He is usually represented as a mummy. He has a pendant called Menat, which is symbol of happiness.
Jonas, can you move to the left?
Sorry.
And while we are at it, we also have Horus. Horus is going to be one of the next gods, actually the last one in the series. He is somebody who united both Lower and Upper Egypt. Therefore, he's wearing crown of both Egypts, and he is having a head of falcon. And actually, the culture has begun to be recorded in Egypt as far as 7,000 years BC. But at that time, people were imagining that divinities are in the animals. So even though then, of course, gods were transferred to people, very often, especially at ceremonies, they would be wearing a head of an animal whose energies they would represent. So you will understand how Osiris got his head of a falcon. We have another god there who is Osiris, and Osiris is wearing also a combined crown of Upper and Lower Egypt because he was appointed by higher gods to be god of the United Egypt. He is wrapped up as a mummy, and I'll explain the reason. He's right here. Okay? Then we have Isis. Isis is considered mother of all gods. She is wearing a little throne, which is, hard to see, on her head, because she was considered mother of all pharaohs for her wisdom and perseverance and many other very superior qualities. Who else is here of interest? I think that all the other gods are not so important. There's Ra. somewhere is Ra. Yeah. We are going to talk about, he's probably the oldest god, he's god of sun, and we can notice similarity between him and Horus, which is also going to be explained in the story. Okay. So, we can click to the other picture. Where is the other picture? Where is what? Anyway. Ptah turned out to be a god of architecture of the universe. Unlike the other sun gods, such as Osiris and Horus, descending from the family of Ra, the god of solar energy, Ptah was supposed to have originated in another universe, beyond ours, beyond our solar system. In a fashion unique among gods, Ptah created visible objects by thinking of them in his heart, and then pronouncing their names with his tongue. It should be noted that to the ancient Egyptians, it was the heart rather than the brain that was the seat of wisdom. A notion not as foolish as it may seem today. According to the Indian system of 7 chakras, or centers of consciousness, it is the heart chakra which connects the energies of the lower centers of our basic instincts of survival with the higher chakras of introspection. The heart muscle is also constructed on a spiral, possibly serving as a gateway of a center of energy transformation, enabling our higher functions and spiritual development. But Ptah was not merely a conceptual artist, he was also a master sculptor and patron of the craftsmen, creating humans in their entirety by molding their material form. In his additional function of a magician, he presided over the ceremony of opening of the mouth of the deceased, so that their spirit could be released to the underworld. We need to remember that the underworld in the Egyptian times meant more of an afterlife in our understanding, a place in which our lives continue in altered form. In his function as a master builder, Ptah also constructed the boats, the symbolic means of transportation, to carry souls from one world to another. He is thus credited by many mystery schools with the knowledge of transformation of the spirit into the matter and the pathways for its return into the original spiritual essence. If he was not born into the original solar family, Ptah the architect nevertheless married into it. His wife was Ra's daughter Sekhmet, the goddess of determination. Together they produced Sam Nefertum, god of healing. Perhaps here we find the first suggestion that creativity combined with determination produces healing or wholeness, an idea repeated in many later groups of archetypes. Ptah is usually represented as a white figure wrapped as a mummy, holding a staff, which is a combination of 3 symbols, Enang for life or breath, Jet for stability, and Scepter for longevity or immortality. As a sculptor of the perfect proportions of our bodies, the containers of our souls, Ptah might have invented the term sacred geometry, which applies to the blueprint of all creation. On every scale, each pattern of growth and movement conforms to its geometric underpinning. As the geometer and author Michael Schneider points out, the ancient Egyptians knew that by contemplating these patterns through spiritual exercises, we can comprehend and become attuned to the creative genius of the universe. We become aware of the deep and universal interconnectedness of all things and beings, leading to our recognition and interdependence of all the factors in creating a cosmic pattern. The paintings I want to share with you reflect the successive transition from one geometric form or level of consciousness to the next, in a growing complexity. Let us use the Egyptian creation myth to illustrate the basic sequence of the spiritual evolution taking place daily in our personal lives, as well as in a society as a whole. Okay, so we should have one of the next pictures here. So what do I click?
You want a page down, just press the page down button.
This one? Okay, so this is, here we see some of the gods. We see Osiris on the top there, guided by Isis probably. Osiris again below with, Horus with, Horus, I should have said, Horus with the hawk head. A hawk with Osiris, and down here we have a not very clear picture of Ptah again. Okay, here's Anubis. He was a guide of the underworld. Some embalming people there on top. Okay. All right. So here we go. Okay, into monad. For the purpose of our lecture, just for the purpose of our lecture, I have chosen a star symbol as circle, representing number 1, or a monad in Greek interpretation. Considered by the ancients a parent of all numbers, the monad stands for the joyous unity of the universe filled with the latent potentialities of shapes to come. For its omnipotent, indivisible, and incorruptible perfection, it has been selected by the ancients as a symbol for the ideal state of existence, such as heaven or nirvana, suggesting the state of perpetual bliss. Such seem to be... Okay, here we have. Such seem to be the initial conditions the mighty Ptah placed the ideal couple of Isis and Osiris in. In their joint hands, they are holding a small lotus, a symbol of their future son Horus. Can you see it over there? I'm going to click. Yeah, now we have the structure of. The couple is surrounded by a circle of spiritual beings celebrating their union. The self-contained unit symbolizes the cyclic recurrence of natural events such as sunrise and sunset, or seasons of a year, meshing the structures of time and space in an endless repetition. Hopefully, all of us have experienced such condition of complete bliss at least once in our lives. It could have been the rosy experience of our first love, birth of a child, victory of a game, or landing that special job. But as we soon found out, such bliss did not last forever, and we had to move on with our lives. In order to grow and develop, we need to break out of the blissful cosmic egg, or womb, leave the imperfection of a monad behind, and explore the world of multiple forms. We need to meet our challenges and overcome our disappointments with self and others. Often we need to deal with our own or our society's shadow, the repressed, unclaimed negative aspect of ourselves we would rather forget and often try to eliminate by projecting it into others. Let us see how this worked in the Egyptian creation story entering its second stage, or a dyad. Okay, here we have some construction of dyad. If you have those sheets, you can read a little better what it describes. Let's go to the next picture. This is the dyad. So if anybody wants to fiddle with the compass, you can easily find the center of a circle and kind of make this construction. So, with the tools of a geometer, the dyad, or a symbol for number 2, is created by overlapping the two identical circles through their center, creating an oval shape called vesica Pisces, a matrix of all future geometric forms. By intersecting these shapes through the middle vertically as well as horizontally, we can get measurements for the shape of a triangle, square, pentagon, hexagon, and host of others. As a principle of otherness, the dyad was from the beginning regarded with some distrust by the ancients, even called a lie or illusion, for only a unity, according to them, could offer a peaceful home to a soul. Introducing both the creative excitement and the discomfort, dyad simultaneously divides and connects, generating a persistent desire to return to unity. Yet in order to grow and evolve into another stage, we need the creative tension of the multiple forms. Life begins with the division of one into many.